Good morning! If it's morning where you're at, how's everybody doing? It is the July 4th here, 11 a.m. 2025. Welcome to the stream. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm going to be flipping through my Master Study notebook, sharing the things I've done over the last 6+ months. If you're just popping in for a minute or staying for the whole thing, I hope you find something inspiring or helpful. Feel free to say hi in the chat or ask questions. I love hearing from you all. Oh, I guess you can't see that on camera anyway, right? Right? Yeah. Had my address on it. This is the notebook that I chose to use. It is it has like a Bristol paper in it, a heavy one. So I like these because I can use them for whatever medium I want to do. They take a beating. Have you ever kept an art notebook? I didn't know what to call this. I've been calling it a Master Art sketchbook, but it's not really a sketchbook. It's because it doesn't have sketches in it. Anywho. This was the first one I did. This one was back in November, and this is actually an acrylic, and it's a Van Gogh. I like how these colors on the flesh looked. This is a Degas. I did it also in October, but it's also acrylic. I started out without taping the edges off, and then you'll see that I did it here. This is a Sargent study that I did in acrylic. This was not my best work, but still I learned something from it. It was interesting. I used to work in acrylic a lot, and then I switched over to oils. This is an oil, in fact. Apparently I was just playing with taping it off because only one side's. This is a Mary Cassatt. This is one that I've mentioned it before, but they have at the Wichita Art Museum. I'm in Kansas. This was interesting, doing both faces and making sure both were in proportion. Her features were different, but that's the way that Mary Cassatt had it. This is a Cezanne. This was in December. This is oil paint. I've done a couple of his, and they're interesting because of these are early works of his, and you can see where he's starting to get angular and dealing with planes. This is a Manet, December 9th, and it was done in oil. This was part of this same one. I like the hand, so I wanted to do a study of the hand. Again, oil paint, and this was on gessoed paper. I went through and I gessoed all the pages in this book consecutively. I mean, or like as quickly as I could, like all at once. And it messed with the binding. I had a terrible time with the binding because I did that, so lesson learned. This was a Rembrandt. It's called Old Woman Reading, and it's just a detail of them. A lot of these are just a detail of them because these pages are 10 by 10, and then by the time I tape it off, that's 8 by 8. I was very intimidated by doing a Rembrandt. But you think, Rembrandt. This is another Manet. Another detail also. This one, apparently I did over a couple of days. I did it the 28th and 29th. This one, when I was doing these, this was the first one I really, really loved. This is a Rubens detail study, oil on gessoed paper. I love this. Well, this isn't, this spot's not supposed to be here. I think it came off over here. The hair, I was getting really tight, but I like how his hair turned out. It looks interesting to me. Hey, Pierre. This is Bert Morisseau. Again, my pronunciation may leave much to be desired. This is a detail study, and it reminded me kind of Monk, the way you could see the brush strokes around the figure and just the look on her face. Just, yeah, the curves in this dress, the way the color went. I'm acting that way because this is a Sargent. Love Sargent. Y'all know that. Again, this is a detail. This was done in oil. I think all the rest of these were done in oil. But I really like how this one turned out. Valachez? I always have to look up how to pronounce his name. It's also detail. I didn't put a lot of information down here other than the material and when I did it and if it was a demo. But this is another one I really, really liked. After I did this one became my favorite. And then the next one became my favorite because it's Rembrandt. It's again, it's a detail. It's not the whole shebang. I really like how this turned out. And would you believe it's still a little tacky. I'll have to leave this on the shelf with the pages splayed. Yeah, it's not coming off on my finger, but this is Cecilia Bow, again in oil. This one I really didn't care too much for. Oh, this was the start of Women's History Month, I believe. Was it? No. No, I think I just realized that I should be doing things that fit with what was on the calendar. Because this one was done on January 29th. But I think that's what I had in mind. This was Girl in a Pink Dress by Laura Wheeler Waring. This was for Black History Month. I did it on the 3rd. Again, it was gesso paper. I don't know why I keep saying they're all on gesso paper. But I had trouble with this. It's showing depth at all. Charles Alston, again for Black History Month. The colors in this threw me because I'm used to doing skin tones that have oranges or no matter what value, and the colors in this artist's work were very neutral and very, yeah. But I like how it turned out. Again, this is Charles Alston, Alston. Some of these artists I had never heard of before, so this was a great learning experience for me. We all know this is Van Gogh, of course. This was fun because I got to do all the wild brushwork and there's a little spot on there. I'll take care of it. Palmer Hayden. This was probably the hardest one I did in the entire book. this was hard because of the perspective and the way he handled things. This was the hardest one. Again, this is a detail. The actual one shows the whole room. This is Henry Ossawa Tanner. Again, a detail. I just did the head study part. I like how this one turned out. I think this was his wife. This is not one of my favorites. Maria Baskersev. I believe she was a Ukrainian. I need to write that down while I remember it. A Ukrainian artist. But I don't feel like I got this. It doesn't do it the original credit. I do like how the hand came out from like here up. Ellen Day Hale. Again, it's a detail. Her hand turned out cool. It's not bad. I like doing backgrounds like this where they're just really simple patterns. So that was fun. Hi, Crystal. How are you? She looks very matronly, doesn't she? This is Gwen John. Maybe these were done for Women's History. I think so. I think these were done for Women's History Month. But anyway, yeah, I like the 30s look to the background. But this one was I don't really remember too much about being really hard or really easy. I think I'm kind of neutral on this one. I don't know that there's an exact likeness either. But it was like, this is a study. It's not a copy. So Lavinia Fontana, 3/24/25. This was fun. Again, her face looks a little different on the original, but that's okay. These were studies. I really enjoyed doing like these pearls in here. They're, yeah, and I didn't get as tight as I could have on this lace. It kind of reminds me of, if you're a Saturday Night Live, you'll know what that reminds, yeah. This is Rosa Bonner. Sorry, again, my pronunciation just is not good. Again, in oil. This was a very small detail. She's sitting in her studio in this one, and I like the contrast of the purple and gold, and just the layers of her skin that showed up, especially of a woman of certain age. Being able to show that transparency, I was happy with that. This is Anders Zorn, and if we're not familiar with the Zorn palette, we need to be. I need to do one just on using his palette. If you're not familiar with it, it's 3 colors in white. It's cadmium red, yellow ochre, Mars black, and white. And you get all these colors from that. Camille Pissarro, 414. The different values that show up in the shadow areas where you think it's just a shadow, this was a good exercise for me on that. This is Gabrielle Munter, made, see, 421. The left side, this over here, I added it. It was not in the original. It was cut about right here, but I had already taped it and I didn't want it to be just a raw edge because I'd started doing this taping off. Andre Durain, see, these my pronunciation. Again, oil paint, 428. His pipe was fun to do. It was. This reminds me a lot of Cezanne. Just the way, yeah, the colors. This was actually a monk, which, if you're not familiar with monk, with the Scream, that's the same artist. Um, I don't know off the top of my head if this was an early work or a late work. So I need to go through all these artists and make myself little notes about, you know, when they did this. And fortunately, if I use my iPhone, I can take a picture and then hit artwork info, and it will, 9 times out of 10, it'll send me to the original. This is a Degas, 5/12, May 12th. And again, this is just a detail. Renoir, again, a detail study. I really like doing these loose brush work they have in the backgrounds. I don't know. Pierre Bonnard, 528. That looks cool, just right there. The colors, there's more of a purplish in her skin tone on that, which was fun to do. Paul Gauguin, 6'2". Looks very obstinate, doesn't he? Monet, Portrait of a Man, 1867. See, I should have put that information on there, and I will. I'll go back on my own and do that. This was 6/8/25. I thought this was going to be a breeze, and always I have learned that if I tell myself that, that's never the case. This was actually more difficult to do than I had anticipated. I like these soft edges on there in the shadow area on his chin. Again, John Singer Sargent. I could do a book, just nothing on his. Maybe I need to do that. Again, oil, 6/16. This was a Lucian Freud that I did on the 25th. This is tacky. I was going to say something else, but it's still tacky. Yeah, anyway. But the angles and the planes that he uses was just such a challenge. You know, like this right here is just like, it's a flat shape, but he uses colors that are very mottled. So when he puts his brush stroke down, there's lights and darks in it, but it's not necessary to that form. You know, it's like this side is not darker. Yeah, I love his stuff. Oh, this was one you all voted on. I let you pick this one because this is the last page. Oh wow, I'm just like chugging right along. Just John Singer Sargent again. I did this on the 27th, and then the last page is just a swatch page I did with some Nova paint that I bought. did some acrylic. By the way, if you've never tried this, it's really cool. It's a really good paint. I like it. So that's all of them. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Some compliments. These studies are wonderful. Gotta run, but this is quite enjoyable peek at your art. I sub, so we'll be watching later. Thanks. I have been doing these on Mondays, and we've just been calling it Master Study Monday. I love that. But I've considered changing it up, but I don't know. Even just flipping through this, I learned a lot from doing these. That's one of my favorites too. I love the angle. Just, yeah. And like I said, this was the hardest one I did. Good old Van Gogh. But my thinking on this was it would be just cool to have this book I could just pull off the shelf and flip through and, you know, have all these studies in one place instead of on separate papers, you know, all over my walls or whatever. Didn't really like how this one came out. If I remember, it's something up here. I'm not, yeah. This is a beautiful piece of work if you see the entire thing. It's Old Woman Reading by Rembrandt. Hands, I've been doing hands here lately. This is where we started. The Mary Cassatt, Sargent, Degas, and Van Gogh. Yeah, that's it. And then we did one the other day. Let me grab it real fast. It's right here. It's still wet enough. I can't shut the, but yeah, then there was another Mary Cassatt. This was this past Monday, I think. Yeah, 6:35. And this is the same sketchbook. Just has Bristol paper in it. And I'm fairly happy with how that one turned out. Oops, I started to shut the, is that? No, I think I'd be safe turning it. But just because I can turn it doesn't mean I can, you know, squish it on the shelf. Let me set this in a safe spot. So anyway, that's all the master studies that I did. If anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to just pop them in the comments. This coming Monday, I have one scheduled. I had it like an extra one during this last month or two. I had it on there at private on YouTube. I didn't know if I was going to do it or not. I felt like I needed to do more female artists and minorities, and I've got it public now so you can see it for Monday, but it's Rego, R-E-G-O, and she's got some really interesting works. And they're different. They're very different than like these classical studies that I did. So it'll be interesting. But anyway, that's all of them. That's all the. I have waited a long time to be able to do this and show them to everybody. It's a very cool notebook, if I do say so. I'm glad I did this, and I'm going to continue doing it because I learned a lot from it. And usually Master Study Mondays I usually start at 10 a.m. and sometimes it can go till 4 or 5, but I try and get them all done in that day. And that's why you'll see those videos of like 2 hours at part 1, 2, and 3, is because, yeah. Anywho's, that's those. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, I would appreciate a thumbs up and or a sub. I've been working really hard on this channel. Really, really hard. So, not that that warrants anything, but I should be proud of myself. So I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you for being here. Take care. Be safe. If you're celebrating today, stay safe. If you're drinking today, because it is the 4th, I want to be a mother for a moment and say get a designated driver. I don't know why I threw that in, but you all have a good one. All right. Bye, y'all.